The golden age of America begins right now. I will very simply put America first.
I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear
I, Donald John Trump, do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute
that I will faithfully execute
the office of President of the United States
the office of President of the United States
Hi there, you're watching Market Cafe on ET Now with me, Shreyanshi Singh and Priyanka Uppal, and over the next 1 hour, we'll get you updates from within the country as well as across the globe. Also tell you which stocks you should be keeping on your radar. But first things first, let's take a look at the biggest newsmaker right now, top of the hour, and there's only one of these.
Absolutely, Shreyanshi. Good morning. That's what Donald Trump called it as America's golden age. Let's get you all the action. What exactly happened at the inauguration ceremony? But the first thing first, of course, Donald J. Trump, he has sworn in as the 47th President of the United States of America, marking stellar comeback from 4 years of political exile. The 78-year-old leader has returned with a renewed sense of strength and determination, promising a bold reset of the US policy landscape. His inaugural speech, of course, was a powerful one that vowed to take decisive action on immigration, tariffs, and even the energy space. Earlier, J.D. Vance was also sworn in as the vice president before him. The man who is known for his populist views, he's set to play a key role to shape Trump's agenda in this second term. Back home, Prime Minister Narendra Modi congratulated Trump, saying he's looking forward to working closely with the man once again, and a whole host of international dignitaries were present in attendance, reflecting the US strategic relationship worldwide. Shreyanshi, it was one key event to absolutely watch out for.
Well, absolutely. There's a whole host of dignitaries who were there at the event as well. You did have a whole host of ministers who were also present in attendance, reflecting the US strategic relationship worldwide as well. You did, of course, have Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni. Other than that, there was, of course, Indian External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar, who was also present at the ceremony. You did have prominent names coming from the tech industry as well. The likes of Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg were also there to grace the event. And Priyanka, a renewed sense of optimism, renewed sense of strength is just about right, because now, after taking oath, let's also take a look at the slew of executive orders that he's then signed. As many as 80 orders were signed. To be precise, Trump has gone ahead and revoked a 2021 order signed by Biden to ensure all vehicles sold in 2030 then were electric. In fact, a 50% target, which is not legally binding. Won the support of US and foreign automakers. Trump also plans to direct agencies to reconsider rules mandating more stringent emissions rules that would require automakers to sell between 30% to 56% EVs by 2032 in order to comply. Other than that, you of course have him also possibly looking at imposing 25% tariffs on imports from Canada and Mexico. That is something that he stated. As of now, S&P 500 futures, of course, flat after that particular announcement, but this could be done as soon as February 1st, 2025. In fact, on that note, let's also go across and listen in to some excerpts then from the swearing-in ceremony then.
I will declare a national emergency at our southern border. All illegal entry will immediately be halted, and we will begin the process of returning millions and millions of criminal aliens back to the places from which they came. We will reinstate my Remain in Mexico policy. I will end the practice of catch and release. And I will send troops to the southern border to repel the disastrous invasion of our country. Under the orders I signed today, we will also be designating the cartels as foreign terrorist organizations. And by invoking the Alien Enemies Act of 1798, I will direct our government to use the full and immense power of federal and state law enforcement to eliminate the presence of all foreign gangs and criminal networks, bringing devastating crime to U.S. soil, including our cities and inner cities. America will be a manufacturing nation once again, and we have something that no other manufacturing nation will ever have, the largest amount of oil and gas of any country on earth, and we are going to use it. We will bring prices down, fill our strategic reserves up again right to the top, and export American energy all over the world. We will be a rich nation again, and it is that liquid gold under our feet that will help to do it. With my actions today, we will end the Green New Deal, and we will revoke the electric vehicle mandate, saving our auto industry and keeping my sacred pledge to our great American auto workers. In other words, you'll be able to buy the car of your choice. We will build automobiles in America again at a rate that nobody could have dreamt possible just a few years ago. And thank you to the auto workers of our nation for your inspiring vote of confidence. We did tremendously with their vote. I will immediately begin the overhaul of our trade system to protect American workers and families. Instead of taxing our citizens to enrich other countries, we will tariff and tax foreign countries to enrich our citizens. For this purpose, we are establishing the External Revenue Service to collect all tariffs, duties, and revenues. It will be massive amounts of money pouring into our treasury, coming from foreign sources. The American dream will soon be back and thriving like never before to restore competence and effectiveness to our federal government. My administration will establish the brand new Department of Government Efficiency. Under my leadership, we will restore fair, equal, and impartial justice under the constitutional rule of law. And we are going to bring law and order back to our cities. This week, I will also end the government policy of trying to socially engineer race and gender into every aspect of public and private life. We will forge a society that is colorblind and merit-based. As of today, it will henceforth be the official policy of the United States government that there are only two genders, male and female.
So as he said that the golden age of America is here, and that's what he was trying to lay down a path to, overhaul of trade system, deregulation of oil, crypto, lowering of tariff, corporate taxes. That's what, lot of announcements. And we did spoke to many of the experts to gather what could the world expect from US. We spoke to Dr. Mukesh Aghi, who's the president and CEO for USISPF, to understand the likely impact of Donald Trump's presidency on India-US ties going forward. He believes that India's proactive approach should aid the relations between the two countries. Listen in what exactly he said.
In the briefing to incoming Trump team, emphasized the critical importance of India, both from the ISET, from Quad, from IMAC, from I2U2, and all people to people. And we have taken that basically flag and gone down and brought it down individually to each different department to ensure the process of technology transfer, the process of Quad, the process of IMAC continues itself. And so far the response has been extremely positive. They feel that the trajectory between the two countries is moving in the right direction. The partnership is becoming much more equal and win-win. Yes, we will have to correct some of the issues in regards to trade imbalance, where India has a $45 billion trade surplus with US, and I think that can be corrected. And on the tariff side, yes, Trump has called India tariff king, but I think that also has to be dealt proactively.
Alright, then that was a word coming in from the expert as well. Let's also take a very quick look at some of the first few orders that he signed at a stadium filled with supporters, because the US has now withdrawn from the Paris Climate Accord. Other than that, of course, already Priyanka, he's drawn criticism for one of the first few orders that he signed, where he's given a pardon to the January 6th attack, the convicts in that particular attack, and that is something that has already drawn flag coming in from Nancy Pelosi as well.
Absolutely, but the biggest one is about the tariffs that he's thinking to put it down from February 1, and that's what actually disappointed the traders. The kind of US futures are trading at this moment. Trump made the comment on the tariffs at the White House yesterday. He was about the signing executive orders. He spoke about that he's thinking of 25% tariffs on Mexico and Canada going forward, and that could be as soon as from February 1. Of course, because of their border policy. Now, this one disappointed traders. That's what we saw, that the futures are down. But let's understand that what exactly happened yesterday. US markets gave a good start, good closing. In fact, S&P and Dow gained 0.7%. S&P advanced nearly 1%. Nasdaq did close flat. But then, let's just take it into three parts maybe. From November 1, that was a pre-Trump rally, the inauguration rally we saw yesterday. And now what is the world is looking at is going to be the term 2 rally. Now, the stock market let's talk about the last week also. The market is coming off its best week since the period that followed Trump's election. S&P 500 gained 2.9% last week, the best week since the period ended November 8. Even Dow jumped, Nasdaq jumped 3.7%. The surge came on Dow. Nasdaq jumped 2.5%. Now the world will be watching, Shansi, that how term 2 is going to shape up, and that's what the US market is going to react to.
Well, absolutely, Priyanka. He's already kicked off his second innings at this point in a stadium full of supporters. But let's also take a very quick look at what then oil prices and crypto did. Firstly, let's take a look at oil prices. Fell slightly on Friday, but posted a fourth consecutive week of gains. That's the handover coming in as far as oil prices then are concerned. When you take a look at price movements, then Brent crude futures lost just about 50 cents, close around that $80 per barrel mark, and US WTI as well dropped 80 cents. They're about $77 a barrel is where they ended the week, but you did have oil prices gaining more than 1% for the week. So that largely is the kind of handover coming in as far as oil prices then are concerned. But more importantly, Bitcoin is the one to look at. In fact, all cryptocurrencies are the ones to look at, because you did have Trump also going ahead and saying that he's going to be a crypto president. There has been a lot of expectation around the fact that he's going to have a lot of crypto-friendly regulation. You do have Bitcoin that spiked to a new all-time high early on Monday, but pulled back following the inauguration of President Donald Trump at this point. That's largely the kind of handover that you're seeing coming in as far as the flagship cryptocurrency then is concerned. That was last lower by more than 2%, around $103 is where Bitcoin was then at. But you did have that rally gaining some momentum because the high of $109,000 in fact was what you scaled for Bitcoin as well, and Bitcoin of course gained steam last week like I've mentioned. Other than that, you do have, lastly, I just wanted to quickly mark meme coin because that is the one that was soaring, and that is Trump's flagship cryptocurrency.
Absolutely. The same day, the kind of net worth Trump and Melania added was $70 billion. Though it later came down, but then this would actually created a big news on social media. But then on to some other news, which has just come in and updates. Now, Apple faces mounting pressure as Jefferies downgraded the tech giant to underperform, citing concerns over revenue growth following President Donald Trump's remarks about potential new U.S. investments from the company. Jefferies is now projecting a nearly 13% downside on the stock. The rare bearish call stands in contrast to broader Wall Street sentiment, with only 3 other analysts recommending selling Apple shares compared to 19 buy ratings now.
Well, absolutely. So that's the latest as far as that particular news is concerned. But moving on, then shifting focus, then Guggenheim Partners Chief Investment Officer forecasts that the US Federal Reserve is likely to cut interest rates roughly every quarter in 2025, bringing the reduction to around 75 basis points then, or even a full percentage point this year. In fact, according to them, the central bank will continue cutting, albeit on a slower path than what had been penciled in previously, Priyanka.
All right. Meanwhile, Goldman Sachs has said that the copper market is pricing in odds of about 50% that there will be a 10% US tariff on the metal by the end of the first quarter of this year, which is a big figure. Analysts at the US investment bank said in a note that the estimate is similar to their own 50% subjective probability of a 10% effective tariff on copper by year end. Remember, Trump has spoken of tariffs of as much as 10% on global imports as well as 60% on Chinese goods. Goldman also notes that the oil market is pricing in a nearly 40% chance of a 25% US tariff on Canadian oil, including oil, versus the bank's 15% subjective probability of a 25% effective tariff by the end of the year. And that's what the kind of remarks, we heard Trump talking about to start imposing from as early as February 1. So let's see how this pans out.
Well, absolutely. And let's move the spotlight from the US. Then the 55th edition of the annual World Economic Forum is all set to begin at Davos in Switzerland. More than 3,000 leaders, in fact, from across geographies and industries are convening for this meeting to discuss important regional and global issues, with the theme of this year's edition set to be collaboration for the intelligent age. The forum, in fact, will touch on topics the likes of managing a fair and equitable energy transition, boosting growth to raise living standards, and also reacting to geopolitical shocks. The venue at Davos, in fact, is full of bustle and energy as it gears up to host more than 350 government leaders, over 1,600 business leaders, and more than 170 leaders from civil society and the social sector. Among these, you do have names like India, from which 6 states, namely Andhra Pradesh, Uttar Pradesh, Kerala, Maharashtra, Telangana, and Tamil Nadu, are showcasing its regional success stories and investment potential all under one roof in the India Pavilion. Stay tuned, as Times Network will be bringing more interesting insights and glimpses from the World Economic Forum 2025. In fact, it's a comeback to the world stage for Kerala nearly after 19 years. Kerala is attending the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland, the one that we've just talked about. In fact, my colleague Shrija MS brings us this report on the 7-member delegation promoting the state as the next investment destination.
It's a crisp morning here in Davos, Switzerland, and we are here to bring you a special comprehensive coverage where the Kerala delegation has made their visit, which means they have made a return to the World Economic Forum after a really long time, which is nearly 19-year hiatus. We see that Kerala has made this return back in 2006, which was under the leadership of late Chief Minister Oommen Chandy, and this time around we're looking at a 7-member Kerala delegation led by Minister P. Rajiv, who's also the Law Minister and Industries Minister of Kerala. In the next few days, we're going to see a flurry of engagements with global investors. And more importantly, we have to look at their focus sectors, be it AI, robotics, and also majorly to do with their IT sectors as well. Here's what, we learned from speaking to the Minister P. Rajiv. He also went on to talk about how the next few days is going to be very busy for the Kerala delegation.
We are hosting the Invest Kerala Global Summit on February 21st and 22nd. This is the right place to meet the most influential investors at a single point. That is why the delegation consisted of the Chief Secretary, Finance Secretary and Industry Secretary and myself. We are coming here to meet the investors one-to-one and also having certain roundtables with investor community.
What's your word to the investors?
We are already published our industrial policy 2023 and we are elaborating the potential of Vidinam, the Palakkad Industrial City and Kochi IT corridor. We are trying to showcase all these things to them and I think it is a good start for the state of Kerala because we are the number one in ease of doing business of the country now.
So a lot of action from Davos also, but we stay for a short break here. When we come back, we get you the cues from the Asian market. Don't go anywhere.
Welcome back. Thank you so much for staying tuned in. Well, as promised, let's take a look at the Asian markets then. Largely a mixed handover is what you're looking at as far as Asia is then concerned, because you do have investors awaiting greater clarity when it comes to Trump's policies following his inauguration. When you take a look at Australia's ASX 200, there on your screens, 0.4% uptick is what you're looking at as far as that index is concerned. Even when you take a look at Hong Kong's Hang Seng, that is the one that is up about 0.3% at this point. On the flip side, you do have South Korea's Kospi holding on to a tinge of red at this point. 0.6% downtick coming in for that one. And even Shanghai is also holding on to just about 0.4% downtick coming in for that one as well. When you take a look at Japan, then benchmark Nikkei is the one to look at, where you do have a little bit of a downtick at this point. But that's, of course, it's been flip-flopping between the green and red, currently holding on to 0.1% uptick coming in as far as Nikkei then is concerned. Nifty, of course, back home we shut shop around 23,344 yesterday. And currently a good start is what is being penciled in largely, Priyanka. So promise of a golden age for America. What looks like a start with a tinge of green for us.
Absolutely, tinge of green. So a good set of cues coming in from US market, good set of cues coming in from Asian markets. In fact, GIFT Nifty, if you look at it, it's up, marginally up though, 14 points up, but up more than the level which is indicating is that we could see a start above 23,400. That is what is important. Welcome back. You're watching Market Cafe on ET Now. Now, it's that time of the year when the big voices gather for the World Economic Forum in Switzerland from our Davos collective. Let's get you excerpts from our chat with the Managing Director of the World Economic Forum, Manik Dusak, and Manoj Kumar Singh, who's the Chief Secretary for Government of Uttar Pradesh. Take a look what exactly they're talking about.
It is not one technology, a whole sets of technologies.
Right.
That are exponentially going to market and changing industry and society. And going back to the notion of agency, how do we, as civil society players, as governmental players, of course business as well, how do we have a sufficient agency in shaping how these technologies actually pan out? And so you may be familiar, there's a term agile governance. It's been around, particularly in tech circles, for some time, but in our view, that's actually the time right now to really think through, are we equipped, and if we talk specifically about governments, are governments equipped right now with the resources, but also with the mindsets and the procedures to be able to really be on the front foot and shape this? And of course, the other complication we have is that you are seeing in this fragmented world that there is a risk that certain technologies, and we're already seeing it playing out, are actually considered to be more a vector of competition.
Correct.
Trying to get supremacy. Some people are using the word supremacy in terms of certain technologies. And so, of course, that is also something that maybe certain instincts are there, but how are we nuanced enough around this? And how can we maintain a sense of agency in this environment? And just to say one last thing on this, it is tough, but at the same time, we saw what happened at the United Nations in September with that UN initiative around, at least, for example, do the first installment, which is this scientific body that they got agreement on from all nations, scientific body that can tell us what is the state of AI, so that at least we have certain, hopefully, objective data to be based upon. But it is, of course, going to be hard work. And again, back to the point of how do we reimagine cooperation, multilateralism for the 21st century.
Right. Mirek, also, I mean, India remains the fastest growing large economy in the world at this point. In a fragmented sort of economic world right now that we are witnessing, what is your expectation from a large economy like India? What role it can play to increase collaborative efforts as far as global economic development is concerned?
I think powers like India play a very important role because we, as someone else puts it, we have multipolarity. I mean, that's, I think everyone would agree that we have that. And again, the muscle of multilateralism, the architecture is maybe not as strong or as equipped. And it is really through actors like India that can actually, right now, it's a perfect time to actually be creative together and also show leadership in terms of, okay, what kind of collaboration do we need? And obviously, with the size of the economy of India and the diplomatic heft,
आपने कुंभ की चर्चा की तो ये महाकुंभ है जो लगभग 144 वर्षों के बाद ये प्लानिटरी अलाइनमेंट बने हैं और इसमें लगभग 35 से 40 करोड़ लोगों के आने की संभावना है और माननीय मुख्यमंत्री जी इसकी तैयारी लगभग 1.5 साल पहले से कर रहे हैं और पूरा शासन और प्रशासन इसमें लगभग 7,000 करोड़ के इन्वेस्टमेंट प्रयागराज में और कुंभ में इसके लिए किया गया है और अभी तक तो बहुत ही अच्छा रिस्पांस है और बहुत बड़ी संख्या में श्रद्धालु और टूरिस्ट वहां पर आ रहे हैं।
बिल्कुल। इनफैक्ट वर्ल्ड इकोनॉमिक फोरम की ये जो समिट है वो तो हर साल होती है और हम देखते हैं कि उसमें कई मात्रा में लोग आते हैं लेकिन उसकी तुलना कुंभ से नहीं की जा सकती। फिर भी यहाँ पे हम कई बार देखते हैं कि जो व्यवस्था है वो काफ़ी एक तनाव पैदा हो जाता है वहाँ पर। तो कुंभ में इतने बड़े स्केल पर आयोजन करने के बावजूद अब तक काफ़ी स्मूथली चला है सब कुछ, ये कैसे अचीव किया गया है?
ये 2019 से ही इसकी एक नींव डालनी शुरू की थी माननीय मुख्यमंत्री जी ने और जब इतना बड़ा गैदरिंग होता है तो सबसे इम्पोर्टेंट जो फैक्टर होता है वो सैनिटेशन का होता है। इसी से सब कुछ बनता है या बिगड़ता है। सैनिटेशन अगर अच्छा नहीं है तो लोग कभी भी उसको सराहेंगे नहीं। तो 2019 के कुंभ में ये टारगेट था कि सैनिटेशन बहुत अच्छा किया जाए। तो बिल्कुल ओपन डेफिकेशन फ्री किया गया था और लगभग 1,14,000 सैनिटरी टॉयलेट्स बनाए गए थे और उसमें नीचे टैंक सिंटेक्स टैंक के रूप में इस्तेमाल किया गया था। इस बार उनकी संख्या बढ़ाकर 1.5 लाख की गई है और लगभग 12,000 सफाई कर्मचारी लगाए गए हैं। हर 70 मीटर पे कुंभ के अंदर जो लगभग 600 किलोमीटर की सड़कें बनी हैं उसमें हर 70 मीटर पे आपको लाइनर के साथ डस्टबिन वगैरह मिलेंगे और ये जितने भी सेप्टिक टैंक इंस्टॉल किए गए हैं सिंटेक्स टैंक के फॉर्म में उनका रेगुलर इंटरवल पे इवैक्यूएशन होता है सक्शन मशीनों से और फिकल स्लज ट्रीटमेंट प्लांट 3 बनाए गए हैं जहां उनको ट्रीट किया जाता है। तो सैनिटेशन के फ्रंट पे बहुत ही स्ट्रेंथन किया गया है। 19 में भी किया गया था और इस बार उसको एक दूसरे ही लेवल पर ले जाया गया है। दूसरा फीचर सिक्योरिटी का होता है। सैनिटेशन है, अगर सिक्योरिटी अच्छा नहीं है तब भी लोग अप्रिशिएट नहीं करते हैं।
बिल्कुल।
तो इस बार काफी लंबाई में यानी 12 किलोमीटर की लंबाई में घाटों का निर्माण किया गया है। पिछले कुंभ तक ये 8 किलोमीटर हुआ करते थे और इसकी वजह से सैनिटेशन, सिक्योरिटी और डिजिटल कुंभ इस कुंभ को बहुत ही दिव्य और भव्य बना रहा है।
बिल्कुल। दावोस की बात करते हैं। अब $1 ट्रिलियन की इकोनॉमी बनाने का जो एक लक्ष्य है उत्तर प्रदेश सरकार ने रखा है और कई राज्य हैं जो इस तरह के अलग अलग लक्ष्य रखकर चल रहे हैं, लेकिन उत्तर प्रदेश इस दिशा में पर्टिकुलरली स्पेसिफिकली क्या क्या कदम उठा रहा है? आप यहाँ पे भी जो मीटिंग्स आप कर रहे हैं उसमें आपको कैसा रिस्पांस मिल रहा है?
ये 2 साल पहले $1 ट्रिलियन इकोनॉमी हमें अचीव करना है, ये लक्ष्य तय किया माननीय मुख्यमंत्री जी ने और उसके बाद डेलॉयट कंपनी हायर की गई एज ए कंसल्टेंट जो सभी स्टेट के जो 70 विभाग हैं उनके साथ मिलकर काम कर रही है। एक स्टेट का रोड मैप है जो कि बेसिकली सभी डिपार्टमेंट्स के रोड मैप का ही एक समागम है।
Alright, and that's the latest commentary coming in from all the way from Davos, from the 55th World Economic Forum. But time for a very quick breather on the show. When we come back, we'll take a look at some of the stocks that you should be looking at bright and early this morning then. Welcome back. Thank you so much for staying tuned in. Well, let's shift the spotlight then to Zomato then, because that's the one that declined over 7% after the food delivery platform announced its December quarter results. What impacted the quarter gone by? Snehi is standing by with an update. Snehi, take it away.
Well, yes, so the stock saw an adverse reaction once the quarter 3 numbers came out. It was lower by almost 7%, though it managed to recover nominally before market close. But here's a list of reasons, top 5 reasons why the stock was tanking away and the reaction why it was so adverse after the quarter 3 numbers. Number 1, operationally it's been a weak set of numbers. All metrics other than revenue have managed to miss the street estimates. Revenue was up 12.6% sequentially. However, on the flip side, EBITDA, PAT and EBITDA margins have all seen a drop on a sequential basis. So that is largely what has missed street estimates overall. Number 2, some key negatives have been flagged off when it comes to earnings. The EBITDA drop has been attributed to investments in expedited store openings and also the customer acquisition in the quick commerce business, and also the management has flagged off some demand slowdown being seen in the food delivery segment. So this is also a negative sentiment coming in for the stock. Number 3 is the segmental slowdown. Food delivery GOV has come in at just 2% compared to 5% sequentially. We at ET now were expecting this number to come in around 6%, so it's a big miss compared to our estimates. And also the quick commerce business has incurred a loss of 103 crore rupees. Number 4 is the increase in other expenses. Advertisement and sale promotion expenses were up 24% sequentially. Other expenses were up 30.5%, and you also had employee benefit expenses that saw an uptick of roughly 17% on a sequential basis. And number 5, and perhaps the most important, is the management commentary, because the management says that they see losses to continue in the near term. The store expansion will impact near-term profits for the next 1 to 2 quarters is something that they have been flagging off, and they expect the quarterly capex levels to stay elevated around the 370 crore rupee level per quarter going ahead on the back of their expansion plans as well. And heightened competition has led to a pause when it comes to margin expansion in the overall business is something that the company has flagged off. So overall, these are the top 5 reasons why the stock tanked after reporting its quarter 3 numbers.
Right, Sneha, stock exactly tanked. It did recover though to close by 3% of loss, but then yes, the consumer spending is slowing down. That was clearly visible. Sneha, do tell us, a lot of brokerages are also reacting on the stock now. What are they primarily saying on the slowing down? And of course, when the management has clearly said that the loss could continue for a few more quarters, is this what is being reflected in the brokerage notes as well?
Well, absolutely. So we have a whole host of brokerage notes also coming in this morning on Zomato. First of all, let's understand what Macquarie has to make of these numbers. They've maintained an underperform rating with a target price of 130 rupees per share. They believe that the competitive intensity has impacted profitability, and prolonged period of negative margins are expected for Blinkit going ahead as well. This is what Macquarie has said. They also see limited margin of safety coming in. So that's the Macquarie stake coming in, maintain underperform with a target price of 130 rupees per share. Moving on, let's understand what UBS is making of these numbers. They continue to maintain a buy with a target price of 320 rupees per share. They believe that the decent results overall have been largely decent, but slowdown in food delivery is something that has surprised them as well. Coming to Nomura, they've maintained a buy rating on the stock, but they have cut the target price from 320 rupees per share earlier to now 290 rupees per share. They believe there's lower near-term profitability in quick commerce. Food delivery has slowed down but has surprised on the profitability front. They believe that strong execution and balance sheet are key positives for the company going ahead. Lastly, let's understand what Bank of America, which is BofA, makes on Zomato's numbers. They've reiterated their buy rating, and the target price is maintained at 375 rupees per share. They believe that Zomato's quarter 3 numbers have missed their consensus estimates on the EBITDA as well as EPS front. They've also flagged off that Blinkit's adjusted loss was 103 crores coming in for the quarter. Con call comments have indicated that losses were higher due to faster expansion. This is something that BofA is also reiterating when it comes to their numbers. Maintained a buy rating but a target price of 375 rupees per share.
Well, absolutely. Thanks, Nehi, for getting us that lowdown coming in on Zomato, both on the quarter 3 numbers and the brokerage take then. But with that, completely out of time on this edition of Market Cafe on ET Now. Don't go anywhere, because the market takes all of the action forward.
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to ET Now.